Good day everyone. So it's been a while since we did a C0 Yae C0 Vod review. So this is one of the teams that I've shown before on the channel and so on. And as the Spiral Abyss sort of grew harder and harder, I obviously sort of leveled up this team, got more weapons, got better builds and talents and so on. So that's just kind of how the game plays. So for those of you who are not familiar with this style of video, basically we're going to be breaking down plays literally frame by frame and just sort of seeing what we can sort of learn. So the idea for today's video was to sort of give you a clean way of playing a team like this against the Consecrated Beast, such that you don't, it's not necessarily not taking any damage, but sort of really showing you how positioning and understanding the enemy AI can help you play cleanly. You don't take really any damage. It's a very smooth way of doing so. But before I get into the actual video that I want to sort of break down, and also we're going to be doing a bit of a Nilou breakdown a bit later as well, let me just sort of show you something which was really funny that happened in the Spiral Abyss. I was a bit caught by surprise when this happened, but it just sort of happened. So in any case, as you can see here, we are full health. None of our members took any damage. We just have a normal energy recharge card available. So you can see we're sort of doing our normal things. We're just going to sort of set up official, once again using Fischl to avoid that attack, iframing here with Sucrose. So this is what I mean by clean play. You don't really take any damage, positioning and all these sorts of things, using Elemental Burst to iframe. And yeah, you can see this is sort of what I've been doing. And then Mr. Crocodile here decided, nah, I want to go to the other side of the Spiral Abyss. It's just, I was just like, okay, so I guess we're going to sort of fight here. So yeah, that kind of ruined that run, but this is the idea, more or less what you can see. So I'm going to break down the gameplay, but the idea is to sort of show you how to do this first chamber in a clean way, because I know a lot of people struggle with this. So what you'll see now right off the bat, the actual run, is me sort of immediately animation dash cancelling here with Sucrose. So we launch Oz, and you can see here immediately, she hasn't even casted it yet, we dash cancel out, then Technery E here, dash cancel out, and now we're going to quickly strategically position here with Yae. We want to sort of force the enemy's attention in and then dash out. So you can see here, even though the enemy is wound up, we've already escaped with Yae, so you've got to be proactive in using her for spacing. That's exactly what she's sort of good for, as I've noted in the past. And you can see a double animation cancel with Sucrose, and now we're going to get the big elemental burst. So we've layered the VV shred, we've layered the aggravate on all the enemies with Technery, and now we're just going to get like sort of like massive damage. You can see the aggravates coming through, and once again just spacing on the outside, ensuring we take no damage by framing here with Technery. So this is what you have to do to play very cleanly. It's very much a situational awareness of where the enemies are, what their abilities are, how to taunt them and so on. And that's why I love this team. This is such a highly skilled sort of team, and that's just like why I love playing it. It's so good for practicing what you do in Genshin Impact. But in any case, I'm just fast forward here. This is just more or less like a cleanup phase. So if you haven't taken out the enemies, you just sort of do a bit of I don't know, like Dendro, straight a bit of resistance. It really doesn't matter. Unlucky there, so he sort of hit me whilst we were dodging, but in any case. So this is actually what we want to get to, the Consecrated Beasts. So the idea here is for you to understand. You can see here us very proactively moving, trying to animation cancel and dodge there. This is what you need to do to be able to take care of these enemies. Cycle through your elemental burst, because they're going to come up online, and you can see how I'm spacing out here with Yae C0. So it's not about sort of having a strategy per se, putting them into the corner or whatever. It's about sort of understanding that these enemies have a very wide arc and they've got a very predictable wind up animation, and all we're doing is we're almost sort of like playing towards the edges, and I'm trying to mix in my ability to iframe with my elemental burst, and that is just how you sort of like take care of these enemies in a very clean sort of way. So that's what we want to do. I don't know if it's really necessary to break it down. You can obviously watch this back and so on, but it's all about understanding spacing, and the mobility of Yae and Fischl is so good for this. And this is what people don't understand with Yae. They think that you have to use her E to dodge at the moment of impact, whereas it's much more of a proactive tool. So it's a tool where you read the enemy AI and then use Yae to space, to get into the correct position beforehand. So that's kind of what I liked about that. So let's go here now to the Nilou team, and let's break down this bit of gameplay. So Once again, we are with a C0 Nilou. This is my C0 team, and let me sort of show you how to deal with these Consecrated Beasts. So basically, you'll see right off the bat, we're just going to do the normal things. We tag all the enemies. So I've covered this in a previous video. Use your E abilities, and I think here's a very important thing. I'm using now my Kokomi's elemental skill Jellyfish, and I'm dashing out immediately because these enemies want to interrupt you. They want to attack and hit you, and this is what's so good about dashing around like this. It gives us a better positioning, and it allows us to avoid the enemy interrupting us. From here on, it's like I've said in previous videos, you just then cycle through your elemental burst, and then you sort of ensure that you can try and take all of them out. So that's kind of the gameplay here. And next, we're just going to sort of tag all these enemies, run it down mid. So this is where I'd like to position, because if I position here and I get all my Dendrocores explosions like on this area, it will also hit the Consecrated Beast, as you'll see in just a moment. So obviously in Nahida's elemental burst, we're iframing, so we took no damage. Pop a Jellyfish, and now we're just going to once again go to our Nilou, use our E ability. So we've got lots of Hydro, lots of Dendro, and we're just going to ask then Kole to keep up the Dendro pressure using her elemental burst. And then now we can obviously then swap back here to Kokomi to ensure that we get the maximum Dendrocore production. So that is pretty easy, and look at that, we're in a very good position here. We've already started damaging these two enemies. Going to quickly use Nahida to tag them, and you use our elemental burst. So basically the Jellyfish heals us up. So if we had taken damage with Nahida, we would have been healed up right now. And now we're going to also then use our elemental burst here with Nilou. So you can see here there's a lot of damage, bloom damage, enemy damage. All of these things are being avoided from my side, and we are still sort of dealing lots of damage. Here's Kole. We're going to now use our elemental burst skill, and that is kind of the way in which you sort of generally want to play. You can see here, even though Nilou's got strong interruption to resistance, these enemies have very strong attacks, so you can't just use your E to sort of go through it, but it doesn't matter. Nilou's got a large HP pool, so we can tank it in any case. Something interesting is about to happen, and I was actually glad this happened. I iframed, or I used Nahida's elemental burst to iframe the attacks, but look at that. Very unfortunate timing on that end. The enemy hit me, and I've lost quite a bit of health with Nahida. So in a Yao Xingshu situation, you need to normal attack to deal damage or apply Hydro to enemies. But with Kokomi, because of his Jellyfish, I can just iframe, look at that, get healed up, attack the enemies, and you can see I'm just constantly dashing, iframing, getting topped up here with Nahida. So it's not a question of Kokomi's healing not being enough. Her healing is enough. It's all about how you play, and I think that's a big thing that a lot of people missed in my previous videos. But hey, here you can see it sort of in slow motion, and yeah, I mean, this is just in a sort of cleanup phase right at the end. Alright, so that is it for this C0 sort of VOD review video. Hopefully you sort of understood a couple of things. It's always worth it just to look at these things in slow-mo, because there's so much that you can learn just from how you should position, how you should be playing, and hopefully you can see that I do practice kind of like what I preach.